I have to add one more thing. I am not Eugen. That guy actually is pretty poor because he has a operation on his teeth. So I'm filling in for him. My name's actually Anthony from Storyclash. So thank you very much for the introduction. So hallo und servus, grüß Gott, München. I'm Anthony from Storyclash, as mentioned. Welcome to this newcom masterclass with Formel Skin and Storyclash. So you actually took my intro. It's okay, don't worry about it. But we can start it off because I have to be very honest. Before I got into skincare, 8 years ago, my very first, no, different story. 8 years ago, my skincare routine for a guy, and I think I see you guys there, was water and a towel. See? Now with a partner next to me, she complained that my nose was so rough. And then she handed me what? Retinol. Exfoliators. So from my one-step skincare routine, it turned to a, what do we have? Retinol, sunscreen, exfoliation, hyaluronic acids. So we're probably at 6 steps now? Fuck me, sorry. Am I allowed to swear? Probably not. Am I? Oh, wow. Crazy. All right, so it turned into a 6-step skincare routine. Now, with your question, and I want some participation, I'm pretty sure everyone here wants to raise up their hands. Who has a one-step skincare routine? Raise your hand. Wait, one step? That would be brave. Who has a one-step? You do. Of course you do. I admit it. It's crazy. Go for it. Your skin looks perfect. Who has a 2-step skincare routine? Skincare routine. 2 steps. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we got a few. 3-step. That would involve a lot of you. Okay, so I assume that's cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen. Anybody? Beautiful. Wow, you guys, I mean, look at your skin. They're always so amazing. So we got some amazing people here. Last question. Like what's your name again? I'm so sorry.
Mine?
Yeah.
Izzy.
Izzy, like Izzy mentioned. Who has the perfect 10-step Korean skincare? Raise your hands. Well, here you go, guys. Let's all welcome with a beautiful smile our beautiful Ina from Formel Skin.
Hi, everyone. Oh, this is so weird. This is my first masterclass. I don't know where to hold the mic, so... Oh, thank you. As Anthony very kindly introduced me, my name's Ina. I work for Formel Skin, and the both of us will be introducing and talking about it today. So I'll just step into it a bit. We already went through it. See, we corrected his name in the presentation, actually. For those of you who do not know us or who do not know Formel Skin, we are a Berlin-based company. We were founded in 2019 because, funnily enough, one of our founders, who's a dermatologist herself, she really didn't want to go and take an appointment with her own dermatologist every 6 to 12 weeks. She wanted to talk to her via chat on WhatsApp, so she just wanted very quick communication. So that's how the idea came to be. Back then, she was still studying, and that's how she was inspired to then go and be a dermatologist. What do we offer? It's personalized skincare with medical-grade ingredients. What does that mean? For everybody, you go through a dermatology process, even though it's all fully digital. You upload some pictures of your skin. I think you have to do it left, right, and center. And then additionally, you answer a questionnaire where you talk a bit more in detail so your dermatologist or the doctor who's going to look at your skin can kind of know if you already have issues or if there's something specific that you want to tackle. I'm very proud to say that we have treated over 1.5 million people in the year since we were founded, and influencer marketing was from the very beginning our biggest channel that helped us get to that point. What's our biggest challenge? Because that's what makes a masterclass very interesting. We have in Germany very strict medical regulations, which means that marketing itself, but also scaling the company is very complicated, but not impossible because we did do it. We also currently ship only within Germany and Switzerland due to the same regulations and compliance laws, which again is another layer of making it more complicated. And scaling more internationally is something that we do want to look more forward to in the future, but again, with Germany being what it is and bureaucracy, we try to get there eventually. This is what the timeline of our success story looks like. In 2019 is when it was founded, and then 2021, as you can see, was a very big year for the company. We had our first and only Series A funding. We raised 36 million, And then, crazy, right? And then that was also the start of influencer marketing as a revenue-based channel. It has stayed as a revenue-based channel ever since. And since we started with influencer marketing, within that same year, we had over 1,500 treatments, which was very, very fun. And then in 2024 is when we achieved profitability. This year, it's at over 1.5 million treatments, actually, and we tripled our influencer marketing spend versus 2024, which is very exciting. We have a huge team. I wish everybody was here for you to see. It's 8 people in our team, so that's where the magic happens. And then I want to dive a bit deeper into the challenges that I spoke about. As I said, due to the laws regulating online advertising in the entire medical sector in Germany, we also have to be very strict and very careful with how influencers advertise our products, because there's a lot that they're not allowed to say, or they have to be very careful in the way that they say it. This then results in very strict influencer compliance regulations, as I'm sure a lot of people who work in influencer marketing can relate to. The first thing, which is very important, they cannot make any direct medical claims. So they cannot say that Formel Skin cured anything for their skin. So no acne, no rosacea. I'm not sure how you pronounce it in German or in English. They cannot say that it treated anything that has to do with your skin just having severe acne issues. Also, which they go hand in hand, they cannot mention any active ingredients, which, as we know from Anthony, because he uses it, they cannot mention retinol, they cannot mention tretinoin, they cannot mention any antibiotics, or just say that it's acne medication. And then, very important, because it's one of our USPs, they have to use before and after pictures, because that's how you convince an audience or your followers that it's a worth to buy product. But all of the before and after pictures, we have to pre-approve. So they cannot just snap pictures of their skin and just use them. We have to pre-approve and see what it looks like, again, keeping in mind our law department and what they tell us to do. This then brings us to the power of authentic influencer marketing, because it was through this department and this channel that we made it happen to scale it so much. In terms of our creator selection strategy, the most interesting part is, I would say, the trust triangle, where real influence happens. So there's 3 parts to it. We start with creator authenticity. So what does that mean? It means that we're always on the lookout for creators who have an authentic voice, who do speak from their soul, from their heart, and who really promote products that they believe in, whose audience isn't necessarily 100% oversaturated with different products, whether or not they're skincare. So for us, it's very important that they have already built a voice that is authentic and that people trust in what they say. Audience alignment would be the second thing. That would mean that their audience aligns with our target group. So the main target group that we go for, unfortunately, it's women, Anthony. Although we do believe that it's a product that everybody can use, with men we have to educate them more. And unless they have a hot fiance who can do the job for us, then it's a bit more difficult. Whereas women are already educated on how skincare is very, very important with a male audience. It's not impossible. We have achieved to educate them, but it just takes a longer amount of time. And seeing as we're a very revenue-based company, we also do not want to wait a year to convince somebody that, yes, sunscreen is important because it saves you from skin cancer in the future. So that's where audience alignment comes in. And then brand expertise, that will be us, the brand, so that we give them the entire information that they need in order for them to say, okay, this is a brand that I want to work with, because they do know what they're doing. They have medical care ingredients, they have doctors, they can answer my questions so that we erase any doubt. When we have all these 3 points, that's when the trust triangle is perfect, and then we work with the influencer very seamlessly. Another point in our creator selection strategy is what does signal high performance. So these are some of the points that we always try to keep in mind. So when an influencer is producing content that has high quality and they have a good strategy behind their content, that's when we would say is a brand fit. It's completely fine if anyone just wants to post randomly and they don't have a specific niche and they just post all over the place. However, sometimes with that kind of content creator, it's very difficult to see how can we authentically place our product, because they post so much and then they are not necessarily experts in any field, but they are not really focused in one thing specifically, and their audience for the most part usually follows them because they're fun but not super trustful and reliable. The other thing is storytelling ability. This goes hand in hand with what I talked about before. When people have a good storytelling ability, that means that they have an engaged audience who believes in what they're saying, who trusts in them, and who would then buy from them, which in the end is what we want. And then consistency and posting frequency. This is also very important for us, especially in channels such as YouTube. Although there's a lot of YouTube creators, very often they fall off the grid. They don't post for 6 to 12 months. And although it could be a perfect brand fit, we do understand, since their audience hasn't seen them in quite some time, then it's a bit difficult to place product placement in their channel. And then conversion energy and community trust. I think this I kind of touched a little bit on. When people have all the 3 points that I already mentioned, they do have a conversion energy in their following, and the community trusts them, which is in the end what we want. Very, very important for influencer marketing managers. It has to be a CPM match. Very often, influencers are very, very expensive. You have to go through the hoops of negotiating to convince them to even come lower to where you want them in your level. So that's also something that's very, very important for us. We do try to stick with a very fast CPM, so it doesn't change. Very often we have to adjust to it, but we do try to say we do not go above this one specific CPM level, so it makes it a bit easier on everyone on the team to know how high we can go. Also very important, audience demographic, which is what I mentioned before. It has to be a match with the target audience that we go for. And audience saturation, this is how we say in my native language, a knife that has 2 sharp ends. My native language is Albanian, by the way. And it's because you do want people whose audience really wants to buy the product, but also at the same time, if it's oversaturated, if they place 5 other skincare brands alongside ours, then there's really not so much trust that they've built in their communities. So it's always difficult to say, do we want to work with them or not? If they do want to work with us, we try to think of the best way to place it authentically. It is sometimes very, very difficult. So I would say sometimes we do work with them, but we're cautious. Very often we also have to say no because we don't see it working out on the long term.
Just think, as I'm looking into your faces, there's some stuff going on in your mind. So if you have any questions, write them down. Later on, we'll be having a Q&A. I think this is regular, right? So write it down. Don't forget it, because people will forget once it's Q&A time. And we want to see some hands raised up later. Okay? Cool.
Thank you. And then also very important, our main KPIs. So in the entire company has different KPIs that they look at. For the influencer marketing team, these 2 are the most important ones, is CAC, number 1, and ROI, number 2. They do have the same amount of importance for us. I'm not sure if anyone has a question of what CAC and ROI are. I will explain it anyway. So the first one is customer acquisition cost. And then the second one is return on investment. Everyone in the influencer team, we look at both of these KPIs and then we report on them to see if a collaboration makes sense for us or not. And then to decide if we want to book an influencer again. So we track them and we report them also with the help of Storyclash.
Exactly. So since Formel Skin uses Storyclash, maybe for you guys, if you don't know or never heard about Storyclash, what are we? We're actually an influencer marketing platform. Maybe I'll remove myself from here so it doesn't signal. We are a influencer marketing platform, meaning brands use our tool to find influencers fitting for their products, fitting for their niche or target group, track the entire content, and then check out the performance afterwards. Check, hey, did the content actually do well? Does it make any money? Did we figure out, hey, actually it wasn't a great collaboration, but is there actually somebody who's better than that? So if we go to the next slide, we'll see an example here in this video. We take Barbara here, for example. This is Storyclash, by the way. Barbara, we will see later on in one of your slides again, because she's one of the top performers at Formel Skin. Why? Because she was pregnant, or is she still pregnant?
No, she does have the baby now.
Oh, she does have the baby. Okay. But anyhow, we can use Storyclash to find. So we took a reference picture here where she was pregnant and check out who else is pregnant. Because is there a filter in Instagram where you say, hey, I need somebody who's pregnant? You can't just look it up on Instagram. It just doesn't work like that. So we find, we use an image, use AI to match the images, and you can also filter. If you say, hey, we need somebody, because she has like 1 million followers, but we need I can't afford it, but we need somebody who has 10K or 900K followers. We can filter that, say I want somebody who's from Germany, and you get the results. Also, what you can do is you can check out who a creator worked with or is tagging a lot. So in this case with Barbara, she worked obviously with Formal Skin, but also different brands like Oya. They're like a period underwear. Anybody know them? Some. Good. So we can see what type of brands they work with. Also, different case scenario, if you go to the brand, you can also check who they work with. So in conclusion, we can say, well, there are probably some creators, even though we're skincare, there are some brands that could probably be, what's it called? Cross-referenced to our brand and check out who they work with. So this is probably one of the greatest examples of how to find influencers in your niche or in your target group. Just because we're doing skincare, for example, doesn't mean we can target out different brands who probably have also issues with their skin, maybe just have a different product that they sell. But we can also target them. So this is something that Storyclash can do and is used by multiple brands and also Formal Skin here to find the creators that are truly relevant for their target audience. Which leads then to some use cases by Formal Skin using our product.
Thank you, Anthony. So in the next slide, I will walk you through 4 of our top performers and what their content looks like and what do we do different with every one of them. So this one here, I assume most of us know Zara Desideria is one of our top performers on Instagram. She does have, I have to say, an oversaturated audience, but they love to buy. So here we have her again. Her niche is, I would say, pretty much lifestyle. The content that we usually do with her is a short story, so it's 1 slide. Differently from a reminder though, because I know it might be confusing, we do stories and reminders. It's going to be in the next slide, but 1 slide, it's she doesn't do any story. This is the only thing that she does through the month. How we do it usually is then their audience is asking them a question in a Q&A and then she answers on how she has used the product and how she would promote it. Interestingly enough, this is not her in the picture, it's her cousin. So in this case, she has kept it very authentic with Formal Skin because she doesn't use it herself and she's very honest about that because she has great skin. But her younger cousin, who I think is 16 and looks a lot like her, does use it. She saw great results and that's kind of the study case that we used in her case. So with her, we were able to keep it very authentic because she was very honest that she doesn't need it, but she has people in her family who do need it and with whom we saw very good results. In this case, we have a specific briefing for each content that we send. And in this case, we give them instructions on what's important to be included in writing, because the main reason why we do a 1 slide with her is because she's very, very expensive and we try to keep a low cost. And since it's going to be 1 slider, it's very important that she has the information of the before and after pictures, what it's important that she says in writing, what it's important that she doesn't say in writing. And also very, very important, which influencers, in my opinion, make a lot of mistakes in, is how to add the link and the code. Very often they will just add the general Formal Skin link and not their own personalized landing page, which then has tracking issues. So it's also very important for us then in the briefings, we include guidelines on how to do it specifically. We also include screenshots of other influencers we have worked with before and how they have done it so people can get inspiration. The main goal is performance and low cost. So I think this is really one of the best case scenarios I can give you off a short story. And I really enjoy working with her, actually. The second one, Barbara Sophie, I think we should hear the video. I guess not. It doesn't work. Well then.
Well, let's check. If the audio is correct.
It should be.
Is it here? Sound? Okay.
I can just still talk about it. So this is the second or another top performer, Barbara Sophie. She is, in this case, booked for a story and a reminder. Her niche is home and DIY. She also has a child now, but we still don't say that she's a mom influencer because we had her categorized for years differently. And in the content, it's a slide, I think the first slide or the second that she has used for the story. She usually does 3 to 4 slides for the story, and for the reminder, minimum 1 slide, but it's usually 1 to 2. And then the briefing is also different in this case because she also needs to have very clear instructions on how to show the product without mentioning any of the active ingredients. Barbara was one of those cases who used Formel Skin before and after pregnancy and also during, because it is safe to use, but you have to talk to your doctor about it. But still, she should not mention that she's using retinol at any point or that she's using any active ingredients. So we are very clear about that in the briefing. There's also this rule about, as I said before, avoiding any medical claims. So she's not supposed to say that Formel Skin cured her acne, but rather that it gave her glass skin, as we would say. Also important that she includes before and after pictures, or in her case, she sometimes includes before and after videos of her skin. The main goal of this content piece is performance. Usually with stories and reminders, we always go for performance, and it's a little less about brand awareness.
Maybe one question here that probably some of you might ask. Since your guidelines are very strict, that some medical claims are not to be used, if you give them the guideline, how many times does an influencer send you the footage to review and you have to neglect it? Because it's mentioned.
Like to fully say that they have to redo it or just to change some stuff?
Maybe both.
So that's different. When we're working with someone for the first time, very, very often we have to say you have to change some things because they're not so thorough with reading the briefing. So I would say 9 out of 10 cases when we're working with someone for the first time, they have to make little tweaks. When it's about fully rejecting their content, that happens, I would say 1 to 2 out of 10 cases, but it does happen because it could happen that somebody is just working with so many brands and they kind of assume how your brand works throughout the other brands that they've worked with. So they just skim through the briefing a little and then just do it their own way. And we have to very kindly let them know that they just have to be more thorough. In those cases, I don't rely on the briefing anymore. I send a very detailed email of what they have to do and what they should definitely avoid. It does happen, but not as often. A very good question, Anthony.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Thank you. And then before I go on to the next slide, that's going to be a reel and we're going to play it out right away. Usually with reels, we do aim for performance, but they're also a lot about brand awareness, because in a reel you can explain into more detail how our product works, what we offer. So since we have a lot of time in a reel, because usually we do it up to 3 minutes max, it's usually meant for brand awareness. If we get some customers out of it, that's always very welcome, but it's usually for that. So I will just show it to you.
Seitdem ist meine unreine Haut auch endlich weg, denn Formel Skin ist eine Hautbehandlung vom Hautarzt, die wirklich wirkt. Online könnt ihr die Hautanalyse starten. Ihr macht ein paar Fotos von eurer Haut und innerhalb von 24 Stunden bekommt ihr eure Diagnose und eure Behandlung. Persönliches Hautpflegeset kommt dann direkt zu euch nach Hause, inklusive natürlich der laufenden ärztlichen Betreuung. Vom Set ist alles, was ihr braucht. Das Reinigungsgel, dann habt ihr natürlich eure Wirkstoffformel angepasst auf eure Haut und eure Bedürfnisse und zum
Okay, that was it. A little bit cut at the end. I apologize for that. So Yasmin is also one of our top performers, and her niche is that she's a mom influencer. As I said, the main goal with Reels is usually brand awareness and a little bit of performance. And how we have found that balance is that we ask them to add the link in the link tree or in their bio for a minimum of 14 days so that people can still, even though the user journey is quite long, they can still go to their bio or to their link tree to see maybe they're very interested and they really want to sign up, so they can still find a way to do it for the next 2 weeks. Because we usually see that the peak for when people watch a reel very in detail is the first 24 hours after it was posted, and then up to 1 week. We've added the second week in there just for good measure in case people are very interested. And when we send out the briefings for the reels, it's very important to send out 1 to 2 scripts that we create ourselves for them to use for inspiration, or if they want to use it word for word, although we disencourage that because we want them to think how they can better place it because they know their audience and their channel best. And also very, I would say, detailed guidelines on how to write the caption, because people sometimes will just write a very short caption. They forget to say this is the code. They forget to say this is the link in bio. And since this is a very thin balance that we have found between these two, it's also very important to mention that. That's why I think 1 slide on the briefing is on guidelines on how to write the caption. And I think that's it for Instagram. On the next one, we will jump to, I think, my favorite collaboration of all, a YouTube collaboration, because differently from Instagram, we have a male audience that performs the best on YouTube. And I find that very interesting because we were talking about it with Anthony yesterday. And I said, I think it's because you guys spend 2 hours in the toilet.
Who said that?
Watching
Yeah, okay.
tomato leaks. So I think That's my guess on why on YouTube we have male influencers that perform the best. In this case, Celtics has a niche of travel and discovery, which is a lot of fun. And the content piece is basically a YouTube integration. It's not a dedicated video. It's just a short segment, 2 to 5 minutes. And as you can see it here, it's kind of in the beginning of the video before he goes on to introduce his own video. In terms of briefing, here again, we do send 1 to 2 scripts for inspiration. But the best thing about YouTubers is that they're super creative, so they really don't need it, but we still do it for good measure, especially if we're working with them for the first time. Or we send them links to other YouTube influencers that we work with and how the video has looked for them. And also guidelines on how to show the product. Because as you can see here, I'm not sure how clear it is, everybody gets a personalized formula with their name printed on it. So it's very nice for him to show because then everybody gets the feeling, oh, so the product is personalized for my skin. Not everybody gets the same product, it's just for me. And also with YouTube, the main goal is brand awareness a lot, but also performance because it does perform.
It looks handwritten. Is that handwritten, the name?
No, it's meant to look like that, but it's printed.
Wow, I'd feel so special if it's handwritten for me.
I do too, because I have the products as well. I always show it. But in terms of the guidelines on how to show the product, it's nice when he's showing that it's his name. But he also has to be careful not to turn it the other way around, because then you see all the active ingredients, which we're not allowed to show. And some of the key learnings that I would love to share is long-term collaborations. All of the collaborations I showed up until now are all long-term. They have become top performers because we trust in them, but also vice versa, they trust in us. What does that offer? It always offers stability because they know the brand, they love to work with us, but it also does offer better pricing. My advice is, especially on YouTube, if you see that somebody's hitting your KPIs, it's always good to book them long-term because the prices do go up very quickly. We see that with all of the YouTubers that we work with. Another key learning is testing different channels and formats. That was the key thing why I put YouTube in here, because I feel like very often it's so overlooked and people think it's just Instagram and the classic story and reminder, but YouTube also does perform very well. We have also very recently started with podcasts, but because I don't have exact results yet, I haven't shared it with you, maybe another time. The third one is analyze your data, which we do very much thanks to Storyclash as well, is to review the KPIs from each collaboration to optimize future ones. I feel like this is a better advice for people that are especially very new to the influencer marketing scheme or scene, I don't know.
It's not a scheme.
The people that are new to the scene, that they don't know how to start, it's always very, very nice, especially when you have all of your data to analyze it. For the most part, for us at Formel Skin, what it does, it kind of reaffirms what we already know, but very often, I would say every once in a while, we do have some findings in the data that we hadn't thought of, which helps to adjust our strategy. So I think that's very good. And then the trust triangle that I mentioned, it's really when creators, audiences, and brands align, trust becomes influence. So it's always something to keep in mind. Thank you.
Well, I hope everyone learned something. Do we have still time for some Q&A?
We have some time, and also, just because you're already holding on so perfectly to the mics. No, you can keep it. But if somebody has a question, let's just go to the...
I will run to you if you have
We want
questions.
your voices on the recording now.
Okay, I think next slide is Q&A slide. Do we have questions here? No.
No.
Okay. You have one question? Okay. Tell me your name and your question.
I'm Nadine. I don't know if you're allowed to share, but I would be interested in the benchmark for CPM because you were saying that it shouldn't be too high. Obviously.
I have to think, what would my team lead say? We do try to stay within the industry standard of 30 to 40 euro CPM.
Okay.
It's not always possible though, but we do try to stay within it. There's a lot of influencers where we do see a lot of potential, so we just go higher up with it.
All right.
So I think with influencer marketing, especially for us, it's your gut feeling and then what your data tells you. We
Yeah.
go on Storyclash and we see, do they have a lot of other collaborations? Does it look like they can be authentic? Do we believe that they might perform? Then we do say yes to a higher one. But we do try to say that 40 is our max.
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for your question. Oh, wow, a guy. I like to see that. All right. First question from the male audience. What's your name?
Hey, I'm Nico. Yeah, maybe it's gonna get technical now. No, so I would assume you not only do influencer marketing, but you also run other performance marketing channels at Formel Skin. So how does influencer marketing compare to other channels when it comes to CACs? Like, so basically going until the conversion. Do you have any insights on that? Not
You
having
guys
to name
have
specific
such
numbers.
interesting questions. I love it. So I can tell you that in terms of overall customers, our influencer marketing makes up for 40 to 50% of our monthly and yearly customers. And when it comes to other performance marketing channels, I'm not allowed to share, unfortunately, but that's all I could say about influence marketing. We do have also a very big performance marketing team, but in terms of how many new customers they bring in percentage, I cannot tell you. In terms of CAC, we all have the same one. So it's some channels we expect a higher one, some channels we expect a lower one, but overall for the entire marketing team, it has to be the same. So we balance each other out.
Can I ask a follow-up question? And when it comes to size of influencers, so rather, I mean, spending the same amount of money for, let's say, big influencers compared to like smaller micro-influencers, is this something, or do you have any strategic guidance on that, on how you guys do it?
You
Or is
mean
it
in terms of pricing, how we decide on it, or?
not necessarily, but like how would you, like in order to reach the maximum audience, is it more efficient to go for a broader range of smaller influencers or rather go for big influencers with a large following?
Excellent question. So we don't really say that we have to, a percentage of the budget has to go for this size and this size and this size, but we do lean, I think around 40 to 50% of the budget does go towards smaller influencers. I would say like smaller influencers with up to maximum 50K followers, but just because organically it works better that way and also price wise. And then for the remaining 50, it really depends on where we see a lot of potential. And we do work with a lot of influencers that have a lot of followers because we have the budget for it. And we think that also CAC wise, it makes sense. But let's say, for example, I know Video Toys, for example, it's an example that comes to mind. She's a very big influencer. We do work with her, but every once in a while because she's expensive. And even though she performs, not very often does she hit our target CAC, so it does increase the CAC of the entire department a lot. But we do try to test them every once in a while because we think they have a larger audience, so it makes sense.
Okay, awesome, thanks.
Of course.
Next question. Wonderful. What's your name?
Hi, Anne-Marie. Regarding the briefing points you already shown, is there a general briefing sheet you started with and then you gave individually to each influencer? Because this is a topic we are troubling at the moment, and yeah.
Yes, so in the beginning, we did the classical story and reminders. So we just had one generic briefing for everybody. But the more the budget grew and the more the size of the influencers and the more the channels grew, we just had to really personalize it. So we do have one specific briefing per content piece. As I said, we also recently started with podcasts. So we created a whole new briefing, not really from scratch because we have all the information we need, but in terms of how it's presented, it's kind of brand new. I would say that it's not just the influencer marketing team that works on it. We have our copywriters and our design team that help a lot. And on top of that, our medical team tells us what they're allowed to talk about or not. But yes, we do have different briefings per content piece. And I know it's a lot of work, but once you have it, then it's just a matter of copy pasting the code and the link. You're welcome.
Question answered? Lovely. Anyone else? Some minds are still ticking. You can lift your hands up like this. It's pretty easy. All right. 3, 2, 0.5. Okay. I think
Then it's time
we're
for
good to go.
applause again, I think, to be